Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this world. This is Edgy Lee with a daily update for the S&P 500, and it's a gap down morning. I had explained how in a wedge, usually there's an attempt to come back, and often they do make it to the right on the belly side of the lower trend line of the upward pointing wedge. Now the same thing happens on a downward pointing wedge. It's just in reverse. In this case, it made it but didn't touch the underside of the lower trend line. Tried to do it here too. Barely made an attempt. It just went vertical on this one. Tiny attempt. Well, in this case, it came right back up. I also explained last week that gaps usually get closed. This gap up is closed with this downward gap. And this downward gap will someday, maybe soon, be closed as well. What does that mean? Well, a gap can remain unclosed for weeks to months, maybe even years. But one way or another, usually it does get closed sooner than that. So again, very wedgy throughout. This is, to me, a very clear ABC. Now, I would have given 1, 2, 3, 4 if we had a much higher high back to the 2750s or so. And there is still a potential for that. So keep that in the awareness. In fact, that is my alternate. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that would give the A wave subwaves. And that'll make the A, B, and C. It'll only mean that this will be a lot wider swinging ABC than thought. But I think it's more of a continuation phase, pattern and sequence perspective wise. So if we have an ABC, this gap down, if we get a lower low below 2614, we should be looking at something that is very close to a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And these 5 subwaves, if it does play out this way, and that's my primary count that it likely will play out that way, that means that we've got a lower low below the origin of this wedge to expect. Most wedges, 75% of the time, go far below the origin of the wedge. So in this case, we could be looking at a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, and 5. So I'm not going to go that far yet. Suffice to say, I think lower lows are ahead of us for the S&P 500. I hope you found this to be helpful. Have a great day.